Now, for more insight into the proposed CFA pullout, I'm joined by Richmond Danso, a political scientist from Howard University. Richard, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you very much.
Now, first of all, let's look at the economic implications of doing away with the CFA Franc.
The economic implication for Francophone African countries is going to be pretty much the same thing, right? Because originally the ECO was meant for Anglophone African countries, which is the countries in West Africa that speaks English, and with Guinea being part of it. And out of nowhere, France engineered to take it away from Anglophone West African country. So Francophone African countries using it now wouldn't really change anything. I think it's more of a symbolic gesture than anything else.
So who would actually have control of the ECO?
One of the reasons France is giving up this is for them to take out their members from the economic board, which is part of the CFA Franc. They used to have somebody part of the monetary zone from France who sits on the board. So they are saying they are going to take that person out. So one way or the other, they are giving them some liberty. So it will be administered preferably in Dakar, Senegal. But that is just what France is saying. In reality, it might be a totally different ballgame altogether.
But why would why would the French dictate where the control of ECO should be? The West African countries, 8 of them out of the 14 are the ones who have decided we want to do away with the CFA Franc.
Well, for you to understand this, you have to understand the politics behind all this, right? So right from when France decided to grant independence to these Francophone African countries, one of the conditions for giving out independence were for them to keep 50% of their treasuries in their money in French treasury, and also having the CFA Franc. So history tells us that countries that decided to go against this policy were alienated. A typical example being Guinea, right? So that is it. And France sees these colonies as an extension of their country, and they benefit from it. So that explains why they want to have monetary control over it.
There have been those issues where most of the West African countries feel like they're still under the control of the former colonial masters. Is this really the reason behind the push to get the CFA Franc out and have their own currency?
I think it's a smart political move by France to still maintain hold of their colonies, but at the same time pretending as if giving out power to them, right? Because if it is really in the interest of West African countries to have the ECO, then all 15 member countries should agree to it. But this is the situation where this is just between France and its colonies, alienating the other countries in West Africa, which originally the ECO was meant for.
But Richmond, we've had these proposals years before. What makes the 2020 proposal to pull out of this CFA Franc really believable? Is this going to happen, really?
That's why I doubt it, right? And even if it happens, there's not going to be any difference between the CFA Franc, the ECO and the CFA Franc. It's just going to be pretty much the same thing for the Francophone African country, unless it's joined by the Anglophone countries.
Is there any reason why the Central African countries that use CFA Franc are not on board with this?
It's political also for France, because even with the CFA Franc, you know that you cannot use Ivorian CFA Franc in Central African Republic, right? So this is a means to divide the continent. This is a means to have hold on African countries, and this is a means for them to manipulate us.
Now, very quickly, any lessons learned from Madagascar, Mauritania, and Guinea that already pulled out and have their own currency?
I think they have a bit more autonomy and sovereignty when it comes to monetary issues than countries like Ivory Coast.
What other concerns do investors have that are already within these 8 countries?
Investors feel that France has got a lot of monopoly, and actually France have got the first right to any mineral resources in these countries. So it still pulls investors away, because France has always got the first to dictate whatever happens in these countries. So I don't think it will change anything more. It's merely symbolic.
Right. Richmond, thank you very much for your insight into this. Right, we really appreciate that perspective. We'll get you back when this happens. Richmond Danso is a political scientist from Howard University here in Washington, D.C. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, have a good evening.